Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live vidIQ YouTube Talk Live, which is a mix of a podcast, a live stream, a fireside chat with the vidIQ crew. Each time we do this, we chat about a specific topic or a burning question that you guys have, and then we go live to you guys and open it up for questions. And today is a very important day because not only do we have our resident YouTube creator, Rob Wilson. Hello, Rob. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, as always, for either listening or watching to us. Looking forward to today's discussion on our YouTube topic.
It's going to be interesting, but we've also got a special guest, and that's our very own Jeff, who is our expert YouTube channel auditor and strategist to the stars. Jeff, welcome to YouTube Talk Live.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Right, awesome. Guys, today, a very, very important question. It's all about YouTube ranking. We have seen this time and time again where people are saying to us, look, the system's broken. YouTube is broken. I'm doing absolutely everything right. I should be ranking way up there, but I am not. So if you guys have that kind of issue, this is a good one for you to stick around to because we're going to dispel some of that myth. We're going to dive into some of those topics, and we're going to really understand the YouTube system and how it works and how it affects your individual videos. So, gents, I guess we've got to start at the beginning. You know, we always talk about search and we talk about keywords. Rob, let me kick it off with you by, let me understand your process. When you're trying to understand what your next video is going to be about, how much research do you put into this?
For me personally, I don't do maybe as much research as I used to, but that's because I've been doing this YouTube education thing now for quite a number of years, and I go a little bit off instincts. But having said that, even if I don't necessarily do all of the keyword research at the beginning, at the end, or once I've completed the video, I will be using like a lot of keyword research to make sure that the metadata is correctly set up, and also using vidIQ tools to bolster up the tags, even though they're not as important as they used to be. Tools like vidIQ can help you adding a lot of relevant tags very quickly. But yeah, I mean, when I'm starting off with my research, I'm usually just putting in a search term into YouTube, what I would be searching for if I was trying to find out information about something, and seeing what's already up there and taking leads from them, and then maybe trying to figure out how I might ask a question to YouTube to get a sufficient answer. But that's coming from like an educational standpoint, generally speaking.
Okay, so Jeff, you're in a very different niche. You're also closer to my niche, I suppose, which is the whole tech world. I assume we do it slightly differently than Rob's education niche, which has been doing it for a very long time. Tell me your process when you're about to research that new video. What do you do?
So basically, I'm going to be looking at trying to take a different angle on it. So I'll look at what types of searches people are doing for it, but also look to answer a specific question or find a way to do it better than the next person, in a sense. Usually try to find a different angle to it. And make sure that I'm bringing an opinion. So I'll do the research. I'll make sure that I have that title up front as well. That way I know exactly what kind of energy I'm going to bring to that video. But mostly as far as looking at the keywords and the ranking, I'll definitely research it, see what's out there, see what's working for channels that are more successful than my own, and take that stuff into account. Also look at the videos and see how they're structuring their stuff. Look at the strategy behind their thumbnails. In order to really make a much stronger data-based decision on my own strategy for a particular video.
Okay, so two different approaches. Rob's doing it from a gut feel. He understands the audience. He knows what you guys are looking for when it comes to YouTube, those education. Jeff is doing it from a different point of view. He's trying to understand what's working out there in the tech world. Can he take this and do it from a different angle to make it more of his own? I'm also kind of somewhere in between those two. I kind of have an idea of what the audience wants. I know my avatar. I know the person that's watching my channel. But the first thing I do is I go to that YouTube search box and I type in that keyword, and I'm looking to see what's trending, what's going on out there, what videos are ranking right at the top. Because at the end of the day, that is where YouTube is going to give me that information. That is what I can see what's working and what isn't working. And I'm really going to understand those videos before I even touch my camera, before I even try to come up with a title. And one of the biggest mistakes that we see here again and again and again is people do it the opposite. They film, they then slap it together, edit it, create a title, stick it up there, and then go, wow, YouTube is broken. The algorithm isn't loving me. It doesn't pick up my content. Remember, when you're a smaller channel, and guys, I think this is kind of worth discussing as well, the strategy changes when you get to a certain size. When you're still small and you're trying to figure out your audience, we strongly suggest going after search traffic. Once you get kind of bigger, then you're going to go after browse and suggested traffic. Rob, are you trying kind of something towards that, or are you purely focused on that search strategy? Because I think that last video you just did with that time lapse was really, really awesome. Really told us a good story.
Yeah, but when I was making that one, I was struggling on how to actually pitch that for search intent. And in the end, I kind of went with my gut feeling and went less for, because I was thinking, like, how do you get more views by viewing your analytics? I thought that might be the search intent one. But just on that particular occasion, and it was a YouTube short as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about at length in another live stream / podcast in the future. I just went a little bit with more the relation with the viewer and how they perceive what analytics are. So that, I think, had less search intent. I think something that you just touched on a few minutes ago later on was quite important. I think sometimes your search strategy may depend on your experience in the certain keyword. Like if you're new to YouTube, you need to obviously put in a lot more time and effort into the research of the content before you create any of it. Make sure almost that you have the title in your head before you even make the video, because that's going to help you govern the content as well. I think as you make more content on a certain topic and you gain experience in that content, as well as crucially the feedback of the data from YouTube, then you can start to go more by what I've been talking about, which is like instinct and feel of what your community is sort of asking you to do without necessarily directly asking for it. It's kind of like, I have these feelings about this topic, and I assume my audience is going to have those similar feelings as well. And then you can sort of form your content around there. I think the biggest mistake that smaller creators make is that they do, some of them do put all of this time and effort into doing the keyword research, getting a really good title, adding all of the keywords into the description and the tag, and then thinking that they've made it, they've done it. The video is ready to explode on YouTube because I've got the metadata right. And unfortunately, that's just not the case, because to begin with, YouTube has virtually no information about your channel and where your perhaps expertise lie in terms of your target audience. Like, let's say you're making a video for the first time on the iOS 14 customization. That is a huge trending topic right now. But if it's your first venture into that, are you going to rank just as highly as the big creators who are already well established in iOS 14? Probably not. Having said that, though, it gives you that marginal edge against similar channels of your size. I'm going to be sort of making a guess here, but let's say you are a small channel of 10 subscribers against another channel with the same number of subscribers. That channel does absolutely no metadata effort at all on their content in terms of a title description. You put in all of that effort, you're more likely to get more views, I think, as a starting point just from discoverability. Whether your content's good, that's another question. But when people make their first brilliantly constructed videos in terms of metadata and so on, don't assume that you're going to be really successful yet. Just keep doing that. Keep building that experience. keep sending positive signal to YouTube with a metadata, and over 5, 10, 15, 20 videos, whatever it is, you should hopefully start to see that momentum growing.
Okay, so Rob has basically touched on 3,448.
I think I have
points.
there, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's take it a couple of steps back and let's walk it through, because what Rob said is brilliant and it's exactly right, but I think there's going to be some confusion. So let's dial it back for a second. So we're speaking about search versus browse. So let's define what that means. So search intent. So we know that YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. Therefore, people go into YouTube and you're going to do a search, and it's normally the questions: how, when, where, what, how, who, whatever. Those questions, right? How do I unclog my toilet? How do I install the latest update? Those questions. So the first place to start is understanding what people are actually searching for. Once you're as a small channel, once you're trying to kind of get that establishment, trying to tell YouTube, hey, YouTube, I'm here, I'm serious, I'm going to make all this amazing content, but I'm still new. So YouTube doesn't have data on you, which is what Rob was referring to. It doesn't know you yet. It doesn't have enough information about your audience, how frequently you upload, what's your retention like on your videos. So it's going to look for other bits of data, which is the metadata that we feed YouTube in our titles, our thumbnails, our descriptions, and yes, even our tags, especially when you're a smaller channel and YouTube doesn't know you. So once you figured that out, and once you're going after the search intent, you're going to be answering questions. That is the fastest way to get eyeballs on your video. What I was referring to when I said that you change from search to browse, that happens later on. Once you have an established audience, once you have an established routine, once YouTube really understands you, then you're going to go after a different type of traffic, the browse traffic, the suggested traffic. When YouTube says, hey, I understand who this creator is, let me see who else wants to see their content because they're speaking about that particular thing that is trending, that is hot. So search intent, very critical if you're starting up. Going to browse and suggested, that's a later on down the line situation. Jeff, when it comes to your videos, you said you go into YouTube, you do a keyword search, things come up. You then said something interesting. You're trying to work out what has been said and how you can make it better, how you can bring it as a different angle to your audience. Take us through that, and how does that actually help you with your own kind of videos being ranked?
So usually what I'm doing, as far as that's part of the research part of what I'm doing. So assuming that people have already done videos on this particular topic, or even say this particular product, I'm going to watch some of those higher ranked videos to see, basically exactly what it is that they're saying. What are they talking about? What are the holes in their content, essentially? Like, what are the questions that they missed? You can find a lot of that in the comment section too, because people will be asking those questions. So I'll look at that and see how I can make this a better video, more informative, and bring more value to the person watching my video over the next person's video. That's usually how that goes, as far as researching it and trying to find a superior angle to it, in a sense.
Yeah, but because again, it's not about, people make the mistake of thinking that it's me versus all the big YouTubers, me versus everybody else, where in effect, it's actually you versus you. If you get better and better with every time you upload, you're always learning, you're always adapting, you're watching your analytics, you're seeing when people are dropping off, you're not making those mistakes time and time again, you just improve. Your channel improves, your audience improves, your view count, your subscribers, all of that just gets better and better. One of the big mistakes that people do is they watch the 10 big YouTubers and they say, well, they've got no tags, they've got no description, their titles are terrible, and yet they're still winning. I'm going to copy that strategy. And that's a big mistake. Rob, would you agree with that?
I think I have an answer to this,
Yes.
which is actually from YouTube itself, and it kind of aligns with like a creator first creating content for the first time versus a creator being consistent on that particular topic. So this comes from a new section on the YouTube main page, and it's like, I think the main title of this is how YouTube works, and then there's a section on YouTube search, and I'm going to try and read this verbatim. It says our systems are designed to identify signals that can help determine which channels, and this is the crucial bit, demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, I actually said that word right, and trustworthiness on a given topic. And I've theorized about this in the past, in that if you give YouTube content that it loves and your audience loves, YouTube then determines that you're like the authority, or you're the educator, or you're the ambassador for a keyword. And if you continue to create content on that magical keyword or set of keyword phrases, YouTube will continue to reward you by serving up to the audience that knows it works for your content. So I think that's absolutely vital, that people, even when they've made their first video, yeah, it might be really well optimized, but give yourself, your content, and YouTube a chance to breathe and take in some of that data and be able to do something with it once you've got like a larger sample size of videos and data.
Yeah, but a larger size of videos is crucial, because once you upload 1 video, 2 video, 3 video, we've seen so many people kind of throw their hands up and go, okay, that's it, I'm done. YouTube hates me. I'm never going to make it, and I'm out of here. Jeff, in your audits and the clients that you work with, what are you finding when it comes to really, really new people and they're making very little content and then just thinking it's time to give it up?
Yeah, no, it happens a lot. And I think that's something that we sort of have to learn to manage expectations, because unless somebody talks to us, or unless we really kind of dig, we just don't automatically know that this actually takes time. And YouTube can kind of tell us in some instances, where I've seen with some newer channels where even in their analytics, it'll say not enough data. And they'll say, well, why does it say that? I'm like, well, because you don't have enough videos. So this takes time. And that's one of the things where a piece of wisdom that I can't remember exactly who told me that, but it was essentially that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And your content is like a portfolio, and you have to continue uploading, and you have to continue being consistent, because the more data that you feed YouTube, the more it's going to know what your channel's about, what viewers like your kind of stuff, and who to promote your channel to. So that's, to me, that's a big thing. Channel authority is very important, but I think as a new YouTuber or someone who's just starting out, managing those expectations, a lot of us tend to look at these massive channels, whether it's, Pewdie or Marquez Brownlee or Casey Neistat. A lot of people look at that success and say, yeah, I should be able to make, get 10 million subs in a year. And that's just not, it's not feasible. It's not realistic. So we have to kind of remember to look at their journey, look how long it took them to get there, and have respect for that, and respect the amount of time and the amount of videos. Like our friend Marquez, MKBHD, I think he had 100 videos, something like 100 videos before he hit like 100 subscribers or something.
Yeah.
So the grind is real.
Same with Mr. Beast as well. I think he was
a
couple of years and several hundred videos into his journey before he hit anything.
Yeah.
Creators should also be aware of the life cycle of videos, depending on what type of traffic source they get. Like when a big creator releases content, they get such a velocity surge in views at the very beginning through their community watching their content, that YouTube already has the signals that they can start to put it on browse features and suggested. Whereas with search, you'll often find that you'll release the content to maybe a mediocre response. If it's evergreen content, if it's trending content, then obviously you need that initial surge. But with things where the content might be as relevant today as it is in a few months' time, you might start to see your graph spike, as it usually does to begin with, then tanker off. But then as it starts to get positive signals from search, it just starts to slowly climb and climb and climb. I think now might be a good time actually to tell listeners and viewers where we've had success with keywords such as that we've used in the past. I mean, for me, it was how to record your iPhone screen, where I, for whatever reason, became the authority on YouTube for like 6 months to a year when I was just doing content on that non-stop. Leron, what was it for you?
Definitely my faster Wi-Fi series.
Yep.
So, and as to Rob's point, it started out really well for about a day. Then it went back down to its normal, like trickle. But I've moved on, and 4 months later, it got picked up as by YouTube for whatever reason, and then it started running, and I managed to double down on that. So you just never know with evergreen content, which is why we never delete old stuff that we think is not doing well.
And what about you, Jeff? Where have you found the juicy keywords for your type of content?
For me, it's been listicles. So top 5 has been super helpful, like buyer's guides essentially. So where, you know, we have the behavior as humans where we want to see top 5, top 10, where the research has sort of been done for us, and then we cut it, this creator will give us, here's the best 5 things for whatever 5 best cameras, 5 best new YouTuber lights, whatever it might be. And that's been super helpful for me. And it was essentially the same kind of story where I did one initially and it did okay, but I'd say it was around the 21st or 22nd day where it was just kind of doing its thing, kind of chugging along, and it suddenly just got a big boost. Impressions picked up, views picked up, and you know, I think it stayed at a high view per hour for months on end and became one of my biggest videos.
Is there any particular type of listicle those? Like, was it specifically earbuds or earphones or Bluetooth earphones? I always find as if it's one just specific keyword within your topic niche where you really identify that is something where I'm not going to use this for every single video, but I know it's not a fallback, but I can build a foundation of good content on that as and when that comes up.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was, so I could do it for headphones and it does pretty well, but if I do it for true wireless earbuds, for
there
sure.
You go. True wireless earbuds. So
specifically, that's the keyword.
Yeah.
But look how specific that is. So it's understanding that data. So what Jeff did is go through his analytics, understand the videos that are working, and then look for those phrases, look for those keywords, which has helped him get that boost, get that over that next hurdle. Now he knows true wireless. That's the phrase. He's got to make that video. There's an expectation, because not only he knows that, his audience knows that, and YouTube is expecting that. And that's how you rock. When you do things like wireless headphones versus true wireless headphones, right? When you do something, just adding that word true, that is the difference between a video doing okay and a video doing fantastically well. Jeff, since we're picking on you today for some reason, how did you figure out that was your thing? What did you look at? Did you use the vidIQ tools? Did you use YouTube analytics? How did you know that that's the keyword to look for?
So essentially what I was using is sort of a mix of both, but the thing that immediately identified it for me personally was the channel audit tool. So when I went into that to see content to double down on, what was getting the most views per hour, and I was also looking at competitors and what was working for them as well. And the main thing that I saw that we all had in common was that search term. And being that that search term, even on my channel, was outperforming my own content, that's when I started thinking, like, you know, I like this stuff anyway. Let me see where this goes. Let me try 5 or 10 videos specifically with this keyword, one after another. And that really helped to establish authority within that particular keyword, to now when I put out a video, it tends to perform quite well. Using those keywords or based on that topic.
Okay, so you didn't do one video. You said you did 5, 6 videos to really tell YouTube, hey, YouTube, I'm serious. I am here for this keyword. I am here as the authority. I'm going to produce this content. And then YouTube use that to give you that boost. And I think that's critical, because a lot of people see some success and then they do one additional video. And if that doesn't do well, once again, boo-hoo, YouTube hates me. Once again, I'm going to try something else. But you haven't given YouTube the opportunity to even help you. And you'll probably find, and I know this for sure on my channel and a lot of channels that we work with, you'll probably find that something that didn't work a couple of months ago, if you go back and you look at that traffic, it's still getting views. Big pro tip here is go into your analytics. Don't just look at the analytics for this week, which is the default. Look at the analytics for the past 90 days. That really gives you a nice helicopter view of what's still getting you views right now. And if it's something that you did a long time ago and it's still getting you views, that is a great signal to maybe make an updated version of that. go look at your comments on that video and see whether you can make a 2020 version of whatever that was. If it's still getting views, it means people are still interested in that topic. YouTube knows that you're a good person to deliver on that content. Odds are much better that if you do an update, you're probably going to do well. And then don't forget to link from that old video to your new updated video. So
Leron,
just a little pro tip.
I'd like to coin a new phrase here. So is everyone ready for this? Passive collaboration. What Jeff was talking about there was that you were looking at your competitors and you were seeing what content they were creating and maybe playing off them a little bit. They're probably doing the same thing to you. I mean, I'm going to admit here, like I follow Sean Cannell, Benji Travis, video influencers, Brian G. Johnson, Nick Nimmin. These are other YouTube educators, and I'll see what they're doing. And if they're having success with content, you know, I might try and follow it with my own interpretation of that video. I can't forget to mention Roberto Blake as well in that conversation. And this is, like you're saying, we're using vidIQ tools here, which is the channel audit tool, to see where suggested videos are coming from, you know, adding creators to your competitors list, which is kind of like your business subscriber list. When you're in work mode, you're watching these channels for content ideas as opposed to watching content for entertainment. And there's a new tool that's YouTube have just released. I'm trying to remember what it's called now. It's something along the lines of what your audience is watching. And that is in the analytics section of the YouTube studio under, I think it's audience tab. Now, unfortunately, this is one of those things where a lot of people are going to look at that and it's going to YouTube's going to tell you don't have enough data, which is frustrating. But again, that shows you if there's any sort of patterns. Like when I was doing some research on that tool, I think I was looking at your channel, Jeff, or you sent me an image, and I noticed that one of the things was that a lot of creators there in that list were doing, I think it was earbuds on a budget. Like they were using the budget perhaps as an additional keyword. I was wondering maybe you should investigate that area, especially as we're approaching like the consumer hot period of time in the last quarter of the year, and Black Friday is coming up. So YouTube and vidIQ is always going to give you data to try this passive collaboration. You heard it here first.
Trademarked. I like it. IP. But it makes sense because most of us do not watch one video on one topic and we go and make a buying decision. We're going to watch 3, 4, 5, 6 videos on that same topic before we buy it, before we commit to it, before we do whatever. So what Rob is passive collaboration, TM. What that means is that when all these creators are making content about a specific topic, he's picked up a keyword, the word budget. Now, well, hold on, Jeff, if you make a top 10, top 5 budget headphones under $50 for Black Friday, Christmas,
true wireless earbuds, don't forget to include that as well.
Stick all those together. Well, what does that mean? It means that when people see the other creators' videos, YouTube may suggest your video to be next. So it's using YouTube's data, other people's data, and trying to get those eyeballs. The one big thing is, remember, it's YouTube views aren't finite. I can watch Rob's video and Jeff's video and 17 other people's videos, and each one of them gets a view. It's not like I'm taking away a view from someone because I'm making a better quality video about the budget true wireless headphones. I'm leveraging that.
I would argue against that a little bit, Leron.
Do tell.
Yes, you could watch 10 videos on a topic, but you're likely not. You're probably going to selectively choose 3 or 4 from that. So I still think there is an argument of here. That's where quality comes into it a little bit, where you can either make the content faster than anyone else, better than anyone else, or bigger in its concept than anyone else. So I just wanted to challenge that bit where, I still think, although you could watch every single video about a topic,
but you don't.
You still are competing a little bit against certain creators.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that if you're watching Jeff's video, and I've watched it and I've enjoyed it, and the next video that comes up and is suggested is somebody else's video, I'm probably going to watch that video as well because it's on the same topic. What you're referring to is if it comes down in search, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it comes down in search, I'm probably going to look at the subscriber count, how many views it's got, and that's going to dictate which of those videos I'm going to be watching, right?
Yeah. I think sometimes if there is a light bulb moment in a video about like a purchasing decision, you'll stop watching the stuff after it.
Okay, so you've got to the end, it's kind of clicked for you, and you go, okay, I've seen enough now. I know what I need to do.
So yeah, so you want to be the video that does that, or one of the first videos that the creator watches. But I want to stress, this is my personal opinion, and like this is why we're having a discussion.
No, but that's, if you think about it, that is what Jeff's opening comment was. Was look at what people are doing. How can I do it better?
Yes,
how can I give a different angle?
Absolutely.
Okay, so at least we agree on that. Sure. So sort of. All right. One of the things before we kind of get into our Q&A section is SEO. Now, there's a big thing about people tell us all the time on our live stream, I am getting the perfect SEO score. Everything is green. I should be ranking as #1 in the world.
And let's just clarify. We're talking about vidIQ's SEO tool here, aren't we? Like,
absolutely. Correct.
It's rated out of 50 before you publish a video. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, since you've opened your mouth on that one too.
Yeah. I have done, yeah.
All right. So if I'm doing everything right, technically, why am I not #1?
Yeah, so it goes back. I think it goes back to what YouTube was saying in this little blurb they've got, that identifying signals might be when a channel demonstrates expertise, authoritativeness, I've said it right twice now, and trustworthiness, which I think is where you have, as a creator, have to accept that even if my video is perfect, the first video I make on YouTube is perfect, I still need some proof, some evidence that my content, from a click-through rate and a watch time perspective, delivers on that metadata. So I think for a lot of people, it's again the idea of patience. Jess already said that it's a sprint, not a marathon, and maybe people who currently are on TikTok right now treat it as a sprint because you can grow so rapidly. But YouTube is this really mature product now. It's been in the internet for 15 years. Maybe YouTube Shorts is that alternative opportunity, but how much does SEO and ranking involve itself in that area is a debate. So yeah, I would say always try and get your content to be as highly ranked in that number as possible. Like if it's between 40 and 50, you've done everything you can from a metadata perspective to give your video the best chance to rank. But just remember, there are tens of thousands, if not millions, of creators who are also doing the same thing. And sometimes you just have to wait for that opportunity for YouTube to promote your content. The one thing you have to seize on is when you notice the patterns of those certain videos doing slightly better than others, make sure you focus on that content and provide it consistently.
Yeah. Jeff, when you talk to our clients and people that you audit their channels and you really give them that strategy, what are you looking for? What are some tips that people can do right now when it comes to their existing videos, not the new ones, the existing videos? Is it okay to go and change a thumbnail, a description, a title?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's, as far as thumbnails, that's one of the first things that I'll usually mention to people is to go back in, because with a lot of the newer creators, their thumbnails will be sort of all over the place. And I know exactly what that's like. We all go through that part of our journey. I went through it myself. You can go back to my earliest videos and see all the different types of thumbnails. So I totally encourage people to go back. Once you find a thumbnail strategy that works based on data, that you're getting a much better click-through rate, that looks a lot better, a lot cleaner, optimized for mobile even, you can always go back. Now, by one rule that I always abide by is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you have a video that's doing really well, I'm not touching it. But aside from that, I'll go back and change them, because there's been instances where I've gone back and changed thumbnails on older videos that had terrible thumbnails, where they've begun getting traffic via search once that thumbnail was good enough to get people to actually click on it. So I'm totally okay with that, especially going back, changing descriptions. Optimize them as best you can. Tags, optimize them as best you can. If you can think of a better title for that particular video that still has those relevant keywords in it, by all means. If you can even have an emotional hook, but just don't clickbait it. You know what I mean? Don't put a title, even if it has the keywords, don't put a title that's not relevant to your video. So that's one of the things. This is also, that leads us back to making sure you have the title in place before you turn the camera on. So.
And is it necessary to continue to dispel this myth whereby if you change a single character on a video, it like resets its ranking on YouTube? That's not the case. So what we're saying here is if you have a video that's not ranked at all, and if you suddenly make it really wellly optimized, it's not going to rank #1. And at the same time, if some video's already ranked in the top 5 and you change it, although as Jeff says, you probably don't want to be messing around with things that are already doing well for your channel, it's not going to immediately unrank it. It's a progressive thing. YouTube, I think, tries to tell us that content will be judged on its current merits rather than sorry, not its current merits. It's not going to all of a sudden jolt the content one way or the other. So you have to make a decision whether you think this content is, even though it's not ranking well right now, the actual content is good and it's still relevant. So maybe optimizing it is worth it, as opposed to, let's say you made some content about the iPhone 7. It's probably not worth optimizing now because nobody's searching for the iPhone 7 anymore. Or maybe they are, like the iPhone 3G or something. Something that can't be bought anymore. But I think there is a trade-off there, Jeff. Like, how often would you go back into a video and decide to optimize it? Is it gut feeling that you think this video deserves more? Or it's like, I made this recent video and it did really well, so I know I made this previous video, I'm going to optimize that. Like, is there any checklist in your head as to when you decide to do that?
Only if there's been major changes, like in my channel, my content, or if I'm doing some sort of bulk updates where I'm kind of already there. So like where I recently had to go back in and change links for a lot of videos. So I kind of went through and I was updating the descriptions, making sure things looked okay. If I could update a thumbnail, I would do that as well, especially on some of the older videos. But for the most part, it's not something I necessarily go back and do on a regular basis. It's only if I'm doing some sort of like channel wide update or something like that on my descriptions, then I'll go through and sort of give every single video a once over, which takes time. It's time consuming, but I care about this and I care about my channel, my content. So I'll spend the time doing it.
Jeff, are you saying it actually takes work to be successful on YouTube? No, surely you're not saying that. I do the same. I've gone back through my videos and I see that certain videos I expected to do better. I was going after browse traffic. Maybe that didn't work. So then I will change my title and go after the search traffic. So instead of making it kind of punchy for the audience, I would maybe stick in the how to blah, 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 and then change my thumbnail to make it more how to. The final kind of bit on this is that remember that YouTube is going to try help you. YouTube really wants your video to do well, because the better your YouTube video does, the more ads YouTube can sell, the more money YouTube is going to make. So I think we've got to get out of that notion of YouTube hates me. YouTube doesn't like new creators. YouTube resets the data every time I change everything, so I'm starting from scratch again. None of that is true. The only thing that's true is good content that people want to watch. If you can focus on good content that people want to watch because you've done your search, you've done your research, you've done your keywords, you understand what people are going after, what's working, and you're going to bring your own angle to this, then focus on your thumbnail, focus on your title, make it amazing to stop and amazing to click, focus on your description, and yes, stick some tags in. I always say 70% of your effort should be your title and your thumbnail together. That's why we have the preview tool for that. 20% should be in your description because it's still metadata. You're still feeding the algorithm. And guess what else you're feeding? Google.com. And that data gets pulled out of your description. And then, yes, the last 10% of your effort should go into your titles. That is all the tools that you need to really focus on those videos. And once you get that right, that is when the SEO kicks in. That is when the algorithm loves you and people watch for longer and longer because they want to see your content. That is the number one message out of all this. Make content people want to see. Stop blaming the algorithm for it.
Leron, you've just given me an idea for some merch here. It's a t-shirt that says YouTube in 2020, and it just says, yes, stick in some tags.
Breaking news is happening all over today. All right, so I think that was all my final words. I'm going to hand it over to Jeff. Jeff, final inspiration words for people that are sitting here in the chat and people are listening now on the podcast and are saying, just tell me one thing I need to do today. What would that be?
By far, I think the most important is to, at least for me, this is what was the game changer for me, was making sure you had that title before you turn on the camera. And it's about your intent going into a video. So the type of energy that you're going to bring to the viewer and to the camera. Because, you know, if you're having a good time, if it's a positive video, if you have a positive opinion, you know, go right into it, have that energy, have fun, because if you're having fun, the people watching you are going to be having fun. So you want to make sure you have that energy. Aside from that, I don't like sitting on a fence. A lot of stuff. Have the opinion, whether good, whether bad. You either like something, you don't like something. Have that opinion and go with it, you know.
And Rob,
start your YouTube journey with a good habit. So put in the time and effort to do this keyword research and optimize your content, even if to begin with you don't get the rewards, because it's all about marginal gains, I think, to begin with as a channel. And as you start to get momentum, then all of that work and research, which seems to take a long time and a lot of energy, starts to become instinctive, and you get that gut feel for things, which is, I think, is where the place a lot of creators find themselves in after 6 months to 12 months, and just keep optimizing. I always feel as if you're putting an extra 5% more than your competitor, you should be rewarded for that over the long term.
I like it. Put in the effort. So, gents, as we're about to head off into Q&A, people in the chat have been waiting for a while. I've seen a good conversation happening already. If you've got a question for us, and let's stick the questions to about the topic, which is about keywords ranking, SEO, stick in some tags, all of that stuff, maybe Rob's new merch idea, all that's cool. Start with @vidIQ on the chat, and then our amazing behind-the-scenes magician is going to pop up your question on the screen and we'll tackle it. So hit us up with some questions whilst we all sip some coffee and some water, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess while we're just waiting for some questions to come up, I will mention that to aid you in your ranking keyword research, we've got some links in the video description. One of those links is to a YouTube video that I did quite a while ago now, but it's still relevant. It's a 20-minute dive into the beginner's guide to keyword research, and it's going to help you decide what keywords to look for and then how to maybe include that in your content. And if you want to take it even further, we've got a full vidIQ Academy course on keyword research as well, which I think is about an hour and a half. So do please check out those links if you want to, as always, take YouTube seriously and have a competitive edge against other people who are not doing the education and the tutorials to know a little bit how YouTube works.
Okay, good plug there. All right, we have a question. Hyperclaw79 says, how do I know why my CTR is bad despite having a trending title and an appealing and accurate thumbnail? How do you know why my CTR is bad? Well, bad compared to what? Is it compared to everybody else's CTR? Is it why are people not clicking on it? Again, it's all about you versus you. So a lot of us make the mistake of saying, well, this person, I mean, I've heard of a channel that gets a 70% CTR. That is mind-blowing. And the person said when they go down to 65% CTR, people get called into the boardroom to wonder what's going wrong. I don't know about you, but my CTR doesn't even come close to those numbers. So I look at it as good CTR versus bad CTR. It's me versus me. I look at my average CTR on my own channel over the past, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks. What is my average CTR? And then that's how I know if my new video, if the CTR is better or worse. If it's worse, I then try a different thumbnail. Hope I kind of understood your question a little bit. All right, who's going to pick up the next question?
Okay, I'll take this one then, since it's about shorts. The Hyper Sloth asks, do you think short form videos will be more popular with the algorithm soon? I am desperately trying to find the answer out to that. The really confusing thing about shorts right now is that for the past decade and a half, every single creator is being conditioned to make longer content to get that watch time for YouTube to promote your content. And all of a sudden, we have this restriction of 60 seconds, but yet we have our own shelf in which to promote this content. So I don't know if the same rules are going to apply for shorts. And I think YouTube is desperately trying to get away from the concept of suggesting any sort of metrics are important for shorts. I think they want to try and avoid us as creators trying to crack the algorithm, so to speak. And I still think, but I might be wrong about this, I still think that at some point in the next 12 months, YouTube is going to separate YouTube and shorts. I think it's going to turn into its own app, because I don't understand still how the shorts element of these videos fits within the YouTube app itself. But these are all thoughts and ideas. And yeah, I mean, there is no search page for shorts, so like there's no SEO involved in there. I'll say keep an eye out for more videos that I'm going to be releasing on this topic, possibly tomorrow. I'm trying to see if I can get it done. But yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, click the notification bell.
That's right. That's right.
All right, next question. Who's got it?
Let's see, should titles be exactly what is in autocorrect or more customized, which would be more beneficial? So here's the thing. So, especially if you're first starting out, obviously you want to make sure that you're, hitting on the keywords and that it's very searchable. But, you don't want to title just a keyword. You don't want to just satisfy the algorithm in that way. You want to title the stuff for humans. You want to get a human to click on it. So whether it's an emotional angle, whether it's a how-to angle, a why angle, whatever it might be, you have to make somebody want to click on it. So, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think the more important thing here is not necessarily the spelling per se. It's the actual single words you could use. Because like Jeff, we've been talking about budget, but should you use budget or cheap or less? I think that's where we're going into the minutiae of words here, but that can be the difference between somebody finding your content, searching for a particular word or not in most cases. And YouTube say these days that you want to use your tags for autocorrect if there's common misspellings. And so, yeah, stick some tags in there.
Well, and now my turn to kind of tell Rob something. The one thing that YouTube has actually said as well is that YouTube understands machine learning and synonyms. So if you put things like budget or cheap, both of them get treated equally when somebody does a search.
Right.
So the important message here is right for people, right for humans, done right for machines. So done right, like something that the best, truest, fastest, true wireless headphones for audio people who want to listen with ears. Okay, because you're trying to hit all those words. Rather write something that's going to be super attractive for someone to click on it. Maybe it's a bit of a mystery. Are these the best? Are these the cheapest, truest budget earphones? Is it a little bit more of a mysterious? Somebody might actually click. Right for people, essentially.
Yeah, you want to go for that emotional angle, something to really hook them.
Yep. All right, Rob, this is yours.
Chennai Realtor asks, my niche is really small and I have a very few keywords that get ranked. Can I keep making videos with the same keywords tags, mostly in Chennai real estate population 10 million? So you're saying that the niche is really small. That can sometimes be actually a really good thing, because that means there's a lot less competitors and you can become the authority a lot easier. I mean, let's say there's an audience for this of maybe 15,000 people, but if you're the top dog in that keyword, then you may be able to influence 10,000 of those people. So I wouldn't worry too much about that yet. So can I keep making videos? I would continue to test. For now, I mean, obviously, we don't know how many videos you've made on this topic. But let's say you're 50 videos into this and you're seeing no momentum, no trajectory. Well, maybe then it is the wrong keywords to look at. And maybe you do need to broaden out a little bit. But you're only really going to discover this through trial and error and the data that comes from you. I don't know if that was a sufficient answer. So if Jeff, Leron, if you've got anything to add here.
The one thing about localization, which is, I'm assuming this is kind of population 10 mil, you're trying to make something local. We have seen channels who do really, really well when they become super, super local and super focused on a specific audiences. So if you can do something like best or the best or toughest hiking trails, well, that's kind of a little bit vague. Best hiking trails in Indiana in July, well, that's going to go very after specific market that's actually searching for that information. So you can rank really, really well just by focusing in on your local population.
One more thing to add here. I always feel as if when it comes to YouTube, you should be trying to provide somewhat more generalized advice. So in this case, realtor advice maybe in India might be a bit broader, or Chennai, and you use Facebook to be more localized for an audience. But within your YouTube content, you can provide these broader pieces of advice, but then within the content, you talk about where you are, like you're a real estate agent in Chennai, and you may get some trade-off stuff there, like if you promote your services in the description. But yeah, that's an interesting conversation itself, choosing what is the right social media platform for a particular audience. And it may be that Facebook's more appropriate for you, but I don't know the answer to that offhand.
That might be a good topic for another one of our fireside chats. Right. Another one.
Let's see. I'll go ahead and grab this one. What are some ways you can increase engagement with your audiences? Social media is one way you can do that if you want to call out to that. But first and foremost is ask questions early on in your video.
Yep.
Right. So that's a big one. So do it early. Don't do it at the end. Do it early so that you ask them whatever might be pertinent to whatever it is. So let's say, in one of the last videos, one of the things I started doing was asking people very specific questions like, hey, so before we get into the rest of the video, let me know what kind of earbuds are you watching or listening to this video with? I'd love to know that. Answer in the comment section. I got so many answers to that question, but the key, make sure you respond to every single one, either with a further question. Don't just say thank you, continue the conversation. They'll get to know people. They'll start knowing that you actually engage with them. Answer all of those comments, especially when you're first starting to grow.
Yeah, that was my big tip there. It's a lot of people say, a great video, and you reply, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, then you're done. But if you say, hey, really appreciate you hanging out here, which parts did you like the most? Or which tip was your favorite? You're starting to get that conversation. They also feel special. And then when they know that you're having this relationship with them, when you put your next video, odds are pretty good. You're going to find the same people coming back again and again and again. So it's a great tip to ask up front and keep people watching. Another kind of little thing that I did in the past was if I'm doing a 10-tip video, I might say, number 2 and number 7 were my favorite tips. I'd love to know which ones were yours. Now, they don't know what 2 and 7 are yet. So you've got to watch the video to figure out what 2 and 7s are. And then they'll come back and they'll disagree or agree. And all of that makes for a great engagement.
But Leron, Jeff, what if you ask me a question, I've got to reply to it. But then when I reply to it, I'm watching your video again, and I'm only watching your video to reply to a comment. And so I'm going to be watching it for 10, 15 seconds. That's going to ruin my watch time, isn't it?
Oh, I suspect that's a setup question. Yes. So a lot of people are really worried about that. The people come back, get a notification, they come back, they're only going to reply to the comment and leave. YouTube's going to get all this negative signals to say, hey, this person's engagement is really good, but nobody's watching their video. It's better to, and I think Rob Wilson, I think you may have told me this. It's better to build a relationship with your audience, build up trust, really be the person, the go-to person that doesn't waste their time. And that's far more important than worrying about the 0.01 second that it may or may not have any impact on that video. Did I learn well, Rob?
You did. And I'm going to give you all now a real world test here of how to improve engagement. Team Rob, Team Leron, Team Jeff, hashtag in the comments, who do you prefer? And I'm now going to look at the chat, and then I'm going to celebrate when everyone says Team Rob.
I feel like we've been set up here, Jeff.
I think so.
This is just, wow. Okay. That's okay. All right. Let's do another question since Rob is hijacking us. Do you have another one on our screen? Not yet. Aha. Right, Super Retro 97. It's words I can pronounce today. Me and Dan are fighting for the top spot of who can butcher the most names. All right, questions for gaming niche. Yeah, I said Dan, so obviously it has to be a gaming question. If you put part, episode, number, and commentate what's happening in that part episode in the title and description, but your tags are how to, can that boost your channel vids? So you don't use your tags as a way to try get yourself ranked, because that's kind of almost the last thing YouTube looks at all. You're probably going to want to focus really well on your title and your thumbnail, and that is the stuff that's going to sell people on that click. So look at something like Preston Plays, always my go-to guy. Go and check out the way that he does his thumbnails. Rainbow vomit colors, over-the-top stuff, amazing titles. And those are the stuff that really gets people to come back again and again and again. Using your tags to try get those rankings, that is YouTube 2003, I think it was, which when that works. No, not 2000, 2013. That's
1974, I think, was the last time. The summer of love and the summer of YouTube tags.
There we go. All right.
I just want to ask another thing.
Team Dan.
I want to answer another thing here. About generally episode numbers and that type of thing. We, as a collective team here, we generally recommend against episode numbers and things, because what if a new visitor finds your content for the first time and you're promoting episode 13 of a walkthrough? Am I going to click on that, or am I going to think, well, do I have to watch the previous 12 episodes? I don't really know this creator. Each video should be able to stand on its own 2 feet in terms of presenting content to a potential viewer. By all means, you can tell somebody once they're in the video that we're currently on episode 13 of this, but you want to watch what happened in this video because it was absolutely crazy how I managed to kill this bad guy or whatever. So we generally recommend against doing that. I just want to ask you, Leron, does Preston Players ever do like episode numbers on his content or things? Because I know this is another example of where larger creators can do whatever they want, and they've got such a committed community that they're going to be really invested in their episodic content. But it just feels like for smaller creators who are again trying to maybe copy larger creators, and the fact that almost everybody does episodic content in Let's Plays, that it just doesn't seem to have that. I mean, we were talking about tags being 1974. Episode numbers is like from the 1990s.
Unless you need stage 2 to get to stage 3, right? So unless you're building on a series, if you're building a car and you're showing people how to build that car, people understand that they can't come in at episode 7 and just pick it up there. They've got to go to episode 1 and work their way through. Unless you've got that kind of episodic requirement, it kind of really doesn't matter. And what you don't want to do, as Rob says, is put people off. People see it's episode 13 and they go, wow, that's a commitment. I'm certainly not going to catch up 13 episodes now. All right.
I also saw in the chat as well, people were ducking out of my hashtag teams and putting Team vidIQ. I mean, Jeff told you that you should have an opinion.
That's right.
Yeah.
No fence sitting.
All right. Leron, I'm going to let you tackle this one.
Oh, good. Right. And Entropy YT. See, you just wanted me to say words. Okay. I have less than 100 subscribers. If I hide my subscriber count, is that a good or a bad thing for my channel? I never, ever understood why people hide their subscriber counts. That is just beyond me. When you're hiding a subscriber count, you're basically telling people that something's weird. That's the first impression, because we're so used to seeing the subscriber count. Why are you hiding it? There's something about that that's just off. And if you've got less than 100 subscribers, so what? If I'm telling you that 100 people are coming for dinner tonight, that's a lot of people. You should be proud of each and every one of your subscribers and celebrate each and every one of those, and never, ever hide your subscriber count.
And each of us people are in groups of 6, are socially distanced. We just want to make sure that if we're invited, then we're doing it safely.
We will have space for you, don't worry, because 100 people coming for dinner, you have to hire a small auditorium. And that's how many people are watching your videos. Stop hiding it. Always show and be proud of what you've achieved. Yeah. Always.
It's not the default. Whenever you change something from the default, especially where it's a very, very visible thing, it just raises an eyebrow of suspicion. And whether it should be or shouldn't be, that's just how people treat a channel where the subscriber count's hidden. Everybody was at the same point in their journey as you at some point with 1 to 100 subscribers. So I would always celebrate it. And if you feel as if it's a shortcut to more views and subscribers, it usually isn't.
Yeah. No, and I think I like having visible, and I think if you're actually building an audience where you're actually trying to build a community, people want to be a part of that journey. So here's one story that I can kind of lead to it. Subscriber number 24 still watches and comments on every single one of my videos.
How do you know they were subscriber number 24? Just out of
because
interest?
he told me.
Oh, right, okay.
He emailed me and said,
"Oh, right, okay, yeah."
24 subscriber, and I remember him from my second video, my third video, something like that. And now we're on an email basis. I wish him a happy birthday. He's been on this journey with me since the beginning, and people like that, this is one of the reasons why I like having it open, because they'll know. Like, I've had people come into and tell me, "Oh yeah, I was 900," or I was here at your 4,000 celebration. So I always believe in leaving it open. Never be embarrassed or anything like that. It's a journey. We're all on our own journey. So.
I was just about to say, thanks YouTube abbreviated subcounts for ruining that in the future. I can only now say that I was a 999,000 subscriber, sort of in that bracket range somewhere.
Nice one, Rob. Always picking on YouTube. That's great. We got Rob on a salty Friday.
They frustrated me with YouTube Shorts. I still can't work on that.
You're still working on that. All right, last question. Plugged P93. vidIQ, how does the whole picking your title first tie into Let's Plays where you don't know what will happen? That's a good question. All right, so I'm going to start off by saying I'm not a gamer. I don't watch gaming content, so Let's Plays are just not my vibe. But you're still not picking the title, but you have an idea of what's gonna happen. When you're coming into the game, you know whether it's going to be a comedy thing where you're going to just be funny all the time. You know where it's going to be super serious, where you and your team are going to be tackling whatever the mission is. You know whether it's going to be you not talking at all, and it's just going to be people just going to look over your shoulders. You know whether you're going to give some tips. You have some ideas going into your video. What we advise by saying picking your title first, it's more of a situation of when you're heading into your video, don't just head in, press record, and then work it out later, because then you're really going to suffer and really going to battle on your thumbnail. You're really going to battle on your title. You're really going to battle of getting that audience. Now, of course, you can't predict what will happen, especially if you're doing a live stream like we are now, and you just don't know what will happen. But when you're coming into this live stream, we knew what our topic was. We knew what kind of questions we want answered, because we've prepared. Same like you do. Go into every single video knowing what you want out of it. Now, you don't have to be exact. A lot of the times you can pre-record, you can re-record the intro because the video went a different direction, but you have some idea. Don't go in blind. The biggest mistake people do is they film first and then go, oh, I got to stick it onto YouTube. What does YouTube want again? And then try reverse engineer it, and then stuff just falls apart then.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Anybody else? Rob?
I'm trying to think of a way to expand on this answer, but I'm struggling. I guess, like in what we're talking about here is that we haven't titled this podcast Tube Talk episode 43, because that's not really relevant or searchable. We've gone for the heart of a topic that we're going to discuss, but it is an interesting thing that they're saying in that there's probably going to be some story that comes out of the game that they're playing. Let's say, for example, it's Fall Guys. So you know that the title is going to include Fall Guys somewhere in there, but then the highlight of the episode of what happened in that playthrough is going to be something along those lines. Like for us recently, it's being like Dan should have won a crown on Wednesday. Like he was leading, he was ahead, and he just made some really stupid mistake where he forgot to jump. And it's like it's that part of the episode that you need to turn into something intriguing and dramatic and climactic. But you'd have to think about that once the video is complete. So I do appreciate, certainly for gaming, or where you're covering something, but you want to make something in that episode be the focal point of the click, so to speak, and that is a challenge. I do appreciate that.
But you have an idea. I mean, you're going into Call of Duty.
Sometimes you don't
level 3.
like in Fall Guys. Like we had no idea. We know what we want to do, but we don't know we don't know the story of how that's going to come out.
Sure, but it's Fall Guys. You know it's it's the two of you playing because nobody else seems to crack an invite to this. You know that it's going to be one of those you and Dan versus the rest of the world. You have some. You don't know who's going to win. You don't know, if Dan's going to forget to jump. You don't know any of that, but you have something going into this. You don't go in there going, "Oh, Dan, let's do random and see what happens on which game we'll play today." You have ideas, and I think what we're trying to say for a lot of these videos is the more ideas that you have, the more structure that you have, the more you think about your videos before you press that record, the easier it becomes to get your video seen, the easier it becomes to get your video ranked, the easier it becomes for you to write a good title, a good thumbnail, because you're capturing it in that moment, regardless of what your niche happens to be. But you're going in there with your eyes wide open. That is how you become successful on YouTube. So
I wish Dan was here so I could tell him how stupid he was when he was doing that. I mean, what a rookie error.
I have a feeling he's listening somewhere. But we'll watch you. So but when do you guys play on Twitch, and should people join you on that stream?
So we are live streaming on Twitch right now on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. PT. I think that's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, and in Europe, I don't know what that time is, to be honest. I think it's 10 p.m. in the evening in the UK. I'm going through all the time zones for some reason now. Wednesday, check out our social medias. Probably the best place to be get involved in that is to join our Discord, where we're talking about all sorts of things, not only gaming, but we take these type of conversations into Discord where you can all contribute to it. So just check out the social medias that we have.
Well, and speaking of other platforms, my last Tube Talk that I just did was all about focusing. It was about Abby Howe. Go look for that episode. Is how she was so resistant to focusing her channel, focusing her keywords, focusing her title. And when she did, she went from 500 subscribers to 20,000 in a couple of months just by making that change. So go and listen to that. Go find Tube Talk in your favorite podcast application. And I guess you can listen to that episode and see what we mean when we say get focused, get serious, and really focused on that particular keyword. So as we're rounding up here, gents, thank you very much for hanging out with us on another one of these episodes. And for everybody else, hit that subscribe button, smash the thumbs up on your way out as we awkwardly look at you and do a stupid wave. Stupid wave. And we're done.
I don't know if we're still live. I'm just waving awkwardly. I'm now on full screen. Press the subscribe button, please.
You shouldn't have started with Dan. That's why.
Press the subscribe button.
No, keep it there. Keep it there. Keep it there.
Extra watch time for the win. I don't know why I'm speaking in a high voice, but since everyone else has gone, hashtag Team Rob.
You didn't win. That's why. He's better.
Team Rob, anyone? I'm still live. I can do this all day.
Oh, please do.
I've got 171 people watching me right now.
People are going to come back.
Oh, I lost somebody. Come back, whoever you are.
I think Rob needs a vacation.
No, don't go. Someone help me out here.
Oh, we all need a vacation. 2020. Woo! Okay, he's done.